And now we are back from outer space. Just came in to see that big ass ball pointed right at my face. That being said, Chimera Shot has been taken through a pretty hefty revamp that changes the spec's dynamic. That plus legendaries and conduits really makes marksmanship worth taking a second look at, so let's dive in! Have you seen it? What? Our stream, fool, because that's where we test this shit. Twitch.tv/MarcelianOnline is where the magic happens, and you should come on by. We do dungeons and raids with you, the viewer, and talk a lot about shit and wow and shit, and it's all good. See you there. There isn't much to say about the unpruning. We talked a bit in depth about it in our first MM video, but for a quick refresher, what you will be more interested in is Kill Shot making a return. As an overall impression of it, it felt nice to have an execute ability. The scaling of it right now makes it hit just a bit less than an aimed shot, and also a Chimera Shot if there are two targets. Huh? That's a bit of a letdown, and maybe they can address it at some point. Hunter's Mark is baseline and still on the GCD. I ranted a bit about it in previous Hunter videos, and although I have learned to open my heart to acceptance when it comes to it being useless in AoE, or at least a short to mark, at least have it off the GCD. It promotes responsive plays and rewards quick decisions when in M+, and you want to, quickly consume a proc on a priority target that you need to switch to. All the other stuff, Trank Shot is nice, the new mechanic of misdirection is a big quality of life improvement, where the buff stays on your tank for 30 seconds and only starts the threat transfer after you attack and lasts 8 seconds. Much better. So let's move it along. Let's go. Some Covenant abilities have changed over the course of beta. Resonating Arrow's current effect from its intended tooltip at least still hits a big ass AoE with a bit of damage and increases your crit chance against targets inside it by 30%. The line of sight mechanic will only work if the targets are inside of the AoE and for 4 seconds after leaving. The wording is still a bit ambiguous since it would make me think you would have to be in the AoE as well. If you choose the Necro Lords, you will get Death Chakram, which is good. It's not particularly amazing, the damage is nice. It's just an extra button that works really well in AoE with no interactions with your spec. Overall, I subscribe to their Necrolords. They have been putting out some good shit for certain classes. Ardenwold looks to be where it's at. Where what is at, Flame? Where the honey is, man, that's what I'm talking about. Wild Spirits has been changed since our last look on the Hunter, and now, well, it pumps, man, it pumps. The way it currently works is way better. You mark an area and do a tad bit of damage in it. When you and your pet use an ability against a target in the zone, it will also hit up to 5 extra targets for a decent amount of damage, Wild Spirits damage. This makes it so your aim shot, trick shot or not, also causes AoE damage from the ability. Now, from the wording of it, sounds like multi-shot should only proc 1 instance of Wild Spirits damage, and trying to test it recently, the ability seems to be bugged, so most likely need to wait for the next build or the fix when it goes live. All in all, it seems to be the good shit in AoE, so rejoice all you fairy lovers. And for the edgelords, Flayed Shot from the Ventier still remains bis in single target. Kill Shot only costs 10 focus and can fill some downtime in your rotation or help with the focus starvation. It's a lot of damage per focus, but still uses focus, which you want for aim shots. A bit on the fence here, could be really good with a lot more gear and is definitely awesome in single target. Since damage numbers get tuned, we can only infer from its design that this should do the best single target damage out of all the Covenants. We covered the talents in our last video more thoroughly, and you can check it after this one though. Meanwhile, Chimera Shot has been reworked to replace Arcane Shot, and god damn it, is this not a much better version. Just a simple replacement makes it feel impactful, and not only that, the damage it deals in Cleave is actually crazy for a supposed filler ability, which it most certainly isn't anymore. Well, first of all, it does more single target damage than Arcane Shot, and once you add a second target, there's no debating it anymore. Hunter used to have a legendary that was dealing incredible damage, and we mentioned it a few times in the past. Soul Forge Embers makes Flare light enemies on fire if they are standing in a tar trap. This is one of the coolest legendaries they have designed, where you make two spells interact in a way that seems counterintuitive and fun as well. The damage has since been nerfed, and it's a shame because this is by far one of the most creative ways they found to give players fun. As always, I suppose, fun gets killed. Eagle Talon's true focus might just come to fix the focus issues and could feel like a good legendary to have at first, while Surging Shots reminds me of the Azurite trait with the same name. This one I found a bit lackluster, to be fair, since Rapid Fire does not pump haste into your character as it does in BFA with another trait, so that this could actually be appealing, so it's not appealing. Serpent Stalker's Trickery is the shit though. When Aim Shot hits more targets due to Trick Shot, the effect, 3 of those targets will be hit by Arcane Shot. Now, picture Chimera Shot instead, and if your pants are wet now, you are correct. This is actually what pumps marksmanship to the top of the meters and could make it a meta spec in dungeons if this isn't nerfed into the ground. Because remember folks, this legendary is fun, and the Blizzard Fun Police is on the job. That's the sound of the police. For potentially higher M+ keys, Secrets of the Unblinking Vigil could save you focus on using multi-shot. Although using this sounds incredibly counterintuitive with the Precise Shots passive, which you want to consume anyway, hence casting multi-shots. If anything, the effect of this can be way better if it made Precise Shots make multi-shot free with a 50% proc chance. Since we still want to consume the buff on multi-shots, hence the legendary buff is redundant because we will still be generating trick shots by the next time we cast Arcane Shot or Rapid Fire. At least on paper. If a trick shot aim shot scales to ridiculous levels where it would be a DPS loss to even consume precise shots, then yeah, this Lego could be good. Man, I just feel Marksman wants a lot of haste coming from BFA. There are Soulbinds that can offer that, or you could aim at pure utility options for whatever strange, I don't care about my DPS reason. Who are you? With that being said, Pelagus is still kicking it hard with Let Go of the Past. This one seemed to be okay to use since I felt that if I didn't weave in a steady shot in between aim shots, I would be focus starved, and seeing as you consume precise shots all the time anyway, keeping this up should be easy peasy. And combat meditation is also one you don't have to sacrifice conduits for, since that's what it will come down to. What path you want to build your Soulbind on, so you can also have the right conduits unlocked. For Maldraxxus, there are a couple of traits that stand out. One particularly interesting one is Marilith's with Plaguey's Preemptive Strike. This sounds like it would work well with Careful Aim, the talent which you would probably pick anyway. The 5 seconds duration might be addressed at some point since Necrolord Soulbind seem to scale the worst in terms of DPS provided. But that's okay, cause you are going Night Fae! Anyway, Korain has some interesting traits that are on an endurance focused path when it comes to conduits. First Strike seems to be pretty good, 10% crit chance when you will almost always damage an enemy before they damage you, cause, you know, you probably will have the biggest range in the entire game. And Wild Hunt tactics for the same reason as the Necrolords. The start of a fight is usually when Bloodlust is used anyway, so you will be pumping serious numbers with this one. or to solve all issues and establish yourself as the supreme single target champion, Nadia from the Venthyr will give you Dauntless Duelist with 4% increased damage until the target dies. That and Thrill Seeker trait will solve the haste issues by giving you a mini bloodlust for 20 seconds once you reach the max stacks by staying in combat. But what about conduits? Well, conduits can be focused on endurance, as in focused on defensive cooldowns, finesse with mobility and survivability effect, and potency for the DPS throughput increase. Potency is where the marksmanship specific ones will be. Brutal projectiles can fuel those rapid fire builds some people seem to like, and can definitely work well with the rapid fire focused legendary, maybe even streamline. Deadly Chain, on the other hand, clearly looks towards trick shots and AoE damage, and fuck yeah, let's go! Aim shot for everybody! Powerful precision comes to prove my point about precise shot, and why the legendary that makes the trick shot mechanic not be consumed is a bit redundant. Although an even more interesting potential playstyle makes it so you can consume precise shots on Chimera Shot that does more damage than multi-shot anyway, and then still play a naked multi-shot to reapply the buff if it didn't consume, or simply not press multi-shot if the legendary procced, and, you know, making this conduit pretty freaking cool. Lastly, Sharpshooter's focus makes True Shot last 20% longer. With the True Shot legendary and the Calling the Shots talent, you could get some serious uptime on True Shot on a long fight, so that's pretty cool. Blizzard is making big progress with the GCD system overall. It still needs a bit work, at least for marksman. For instance, the volley talent should be off it, of course. It provides 6 seconds of awesome trick shotting and interacts well with legendaries. But pressing it and waiting more than 1 second of its duration makes me feel crappy for wasting one aim shot that could have been, you know, trick shot. Since aim shot is a castable shot, having volley also on the GCD feels like my wheels get anchored down from left and right and I cannot move towards DPS haven. Is it the strength of it too much to have that happen? Lowers duration to 5 seconds then. Much better than popping it and looking at the screen for almost 4 seconds before your first aim shot gets out. 4 seconds! Maybe make the first aim shot cast be an instant cast, because aim shot has about 2.2 second cast time with the current gear level and 1.5 cast time from the GCD window. It's almost 4 seconds, man. Maths. Other than that, the focus starvation is a real pain in the butt. I suppose it's one of those things that scales with gear and haste as a consequence and is supposed to be indicative of your character's progression. But coming from BFA, and not even 8.3 where shit is crazy, let's say 8.2, you still feel way slower. Why do we have to keep having this every damn expansion with every damn spec? The spec received a few but very impactful changes, and I for one am still excited for MM with the cool ass legendaries coming in the next expansion. And as always, changes come and go, and the best way to keep up to date with what's actually good for marksmanship is to check the True Shot Lodge community Discord channel, where the huntsmen and women are putting out solid theory crafting and advanced info on the spec. And thank you to our patrons for supporting our content. Much obliged, everybody. And of course to all the Twitch supporters as well, subscribers and tippers. You guys have made the last couple of weeks pretty fucking crazy, and we couldn't thank you enough. And if you, dear viewer, also want to support our channel, platform and everything, because also from streaming, that's where all the footage comes from, then you can check the link down below to our Patreon page. Obviously, everything is free. You don't have to do that, but it does really help us out and we appreciate it as well. Also, maybe Patreon is not your thing. Maybe you just like cool merch because you're a materialistic fuck like me. And you can get some of this shit. Look, you might not see this because this is green screen, but these kind of models is what you can find on our merch website. Check it out. So thank you for watching the video. Stay awesome, and we'll see you next time.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.